Welcome my wonderful viewers. I present to you what makes news about Donald Trump. Please consider subscribing to my channel for more of what makes news about Trump. Former President Donald Trump entered primary season on a high after his noticeably sought endorsement catapulted J.D. Vance from third place to a win in Ohio's Senate contest. "I'm the king of endorsements," he boasted to the Washington Post last month. And whilst no longer perfect, his report indicates he nonetheless has sway over Republican voters 18 months after losing the presidency. Of the 27 candidates Trump backed in Tuesday night's contests, 23 have prevailed. The former president's backing was not sufficient to catapult a few extraordinary candidates over the line, including North Carolina Congressman Madison Cawthorn. Meanwhile, a hotly contested race in Pennsylvania, the place Trump has backed superstar coronary heart physician Mehmet Oz, stays too close to call. Here's how some magnificent Trump-backed candidates fared in the May 17 contests, Trump urging voters to give Madison a second chance. Wasn't sufficient to tightly closed a victory for Republican Madison Cawthorn, the youngest member of Congress. Cawthorn, 26, was ousted by State Senator Chuck Edwards after angering Republican leadership with a series of scandals, most enormously by alleging that Republican colleagues in Washington had invited him to cocaine-fueled orgies. Trump's candidate, Pennsylvania State Senator Doug Mastriano, effortlessly received the GOP nomination in the state's race for governor. However, Mastriano was the frontrunner in the race before Trump's endorsement last week. Trump backed Mastriano just days before the contest, selecting a candidate who has loudly amplified his baseless claims. Mastriano was outside the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021, when a mob of Trump supporters stormed the building in a bid to disrupt the certification of Joe Biden's victory. He will face Democrat Josh Shapiro, the state's attorney general, in the November general election. Trump's choice of Janice McChechen failed to defeat Idaho Governor Brad Little in the state's primary. McChechen, the state's lieutenant governor, made headlines after she issued a ban on mask mandates when Little briefly left the state. The preliminary tally confirmed McChechen had garnered less than 30% of the vote in Idaho, which holds separate primaries for governor and lieutenant governor. Ted Budd, a little-known congressman from North Carolina who secured Trump's endorsement, received the state's Republican Senate nomination for a seat being vacated by retiring Richard Burr. Budd beat a crowded field of candidates that included the state's former governor, Pat McCrory. He will face Democratic former State Chief Justice Cheri Beasley, who is looking to emerge as the state's first black senator. Trump-backed political amateur Bo Hines received the predominant race to represent North Carolina's 13th congressional district. Hines, a 26-year-old former university soccer player, beat out a crowded field of opponents with Trump's endorsement after going through criticism for filing to run in 2 other districts before settling on a run in the 13th. The race in Pennsylvania's carefully watched contest stays too shut to call. Trump choose Oz keeps a very slim lead in the race, with former hedge fund government Dave McCormick in second place. With 94% of the predicted vote reported, Oz was ahead of McCormick by simply over 2,000 ballots out of more than 1.3 million counted, according to the New York Times. The winner will face John Fetterman, Pennsylvania's lieutenant governor, who received the Democratic nomination on the same day he had a pacemaker fitted after suffering a stroke last week.